Hello Wednesday, World Economic News is starting in Canada with the Daily Press. Pensions crisis looming, says MP Angus. Iroquois Falls. There is a real growing concern across Canada of a looming pensions crisis, says the federal representative for Timmins, James Bay. The baby boomers are retiring and many don't have proper pensions, said Democratic MP Charlie Angus. Very rightly, Charlie. New Straits Times gives us China's electricity consumption up 15% in 2010. Beijing electricity consumption in China soared nearly 15% in 2010, state media said Monday, as the country's thousands of factories cranked up production to meet growing domestic and global demand. As I said in one of the comments on the website yesterday, don't think for a moment that they're not just going to dig up every ounce of coal that they can lay their hands on and burn it, because that is what they're going to do. FT.com Alphaville, China, rock, inflation, hard place. Michael Pettis has a blunt way of describing the China predicament. After Friday saw the People's Bank raise required reserve ratios for the 7th time over the past year in an effort to rein in inflation and curb lending by the country's banks. In a sentence, it is damned if you do and damned if you don't. The issue, says the Shenying Wangyu securities analyst and all-round real top China specialist, and all-round China expert, is that high or just persistent inflation creates an almost unsolvable problem for the PBOC, People's Bank of China. It's much more. If you read, it's a very good article. It's more than just if they don't raise interest rates, inflation runs away. If they raise interest rates, the economy crashes. It's more than that, and the article is worth reading to find what that more is. Bloomberg, French bakers to raise baguette prices on wheat costs. Ooh la la! Wheat prices almost doubled in the past 12 months on New York Stock Exchange LIFI in Paris, with March delivery wheat closing at €251 a metric ton on January the 14th, after a drought in Russia and floods in Canada and Australia wiped out crops. The dozen Le Grenier à Pain stores that Gaulier runs in Paris plan to raise the price of a baguette by 5 cents this month to €1.15. Now, notice from that paragraph, wheat prices almost doubled in the past 12 months, and he's going to put up the price of a baguette 5 cents to €1.15, which isn't even a 5% increase. Okay, this is to note and keep well noted that when it comes to the cost of things, wages are the big factor. Bond Vigilantes has for us emerging market inflation, a big risk to global growth, and starts with the reasons behind the ugly scenes in Tunisia are down to a combination of political and economic factors. But at least part of the discontent stems from rising food and energy prices. Public unrest in Tunisia has spread to Jordan, where thousands were protesting against the government over the weekend, and demonstrations are also spreading to Egypt. It's an excellent article, but I've dragged out of it 2 excellent charts. This one, first one, that you can see on the website if you can be bothered to go there. Emerging market countries have much higher exposure to food and energy prices than developed countries. What this is registering that, as we know, in our world, the advanced Western world, poor people have to pay more as a percentage of their income for food. It's more of their income. A really rich person only pays about this much of their income as food, but a poor person has to pay 20%, let's say, for example. This chart has done the same sort of calculations for entire countries and how much food is a percentage of their CPI basket. In other words, if we can judge from this, if food prices go up, how much that country would be affected, as opposed to others which are generally, you could call them richer countries, that won't be that affected. So the chart shows us that on the website. And the second excellent chart is a food and energy price spike, good news for growth in some countries, bad news in others. And it's divided the chart up into dotting the world current countries for if commodity prices go up, some countries will benefit from it and some countries will be badly affected by it. And it is plotted which countries will be affected in what way on that chart. But to repeat, the whole article is worth following to the website, following the link and reading the whole article. It's not long, but it's very worthwhile reading. The Times of India gives us petrol price rise. Situ calls 3-hour transport strike today. And the opening paragraph is Kolkata, which must be Calcutta for us, I think. If you have a flight to catch or an important appointment to keep around midday today, make sure that you start from home early. Reach your destination well before noon. Stay put whenever you get there for the next 3 hours. The rest of you, unfortunate enough to be found on the road between 12 noon and 3 p.m., be prepared to walk. You'll be advised to wear comfortable shoes and carry a bottle of water. Transport striking, protesting in India against increases in fuel prices. On Business Insider was this easy chart of those rates that you get, insurance against sovereign debt defaults, and they go up and they go down, and you can judge what the market is thinking about the chances of a sovereign defaulting or not. This was the top 6 on Monday. This was in 6th was Spain, then Japan, Italy and Portugal. So you can see the fear there on the European side. Japan will come and go from that, but there's no trouble there for the moment. This was before the European people have met to try and sort out a bigger bailout fund. But the top 2 are Morocco and Egypt, and it looks like that the commodity and political crisis is actually spreading across what is termed the Arab world. So, down to more nitty-gritty stuff. The Atlantic in the United States says disclosure about Steve Jobs' illness. Apple should provide it. The SEC should require it. Now we know Steve Jobs has gone on leave again, leave of absence. But as it's noted here, Jobs is the CEO of the second most valuable US company. He is regarded by many as the inspiration for the company's innovative designs. He is a global public figure and the leader upon which Apple investors rely. And a little bit later, under the securities laws, companies are required to disclose material information, usually defined as any information that would influence an investor's decision to buy or sell securities. And Jobs' health is material information, and there should be more details on it, legally speaking. Probably. Going on to another legally, morally speaking, probably, is Mich, and Utah's quiet title law bypasses mayors, awards home free and clear. One homeowner had $417,000 debt erased. Now this is Salt Lake City, Utah, and some clever types have gone to the courts and said, we'd just like you to pronounce on the title of this house, who owns it. And the people that put it up obviously knew that the people that were meant to be owning it, on the gave the mortgage and securitized side, would not come and defend their claim. So the judge had to say, well, it is your house, and it is your house now, free and clear. You owe not the $417,000 of the mortgage, it's yours, take it away. And Mich is not happy about this and calls in this article, part of it, a travesty of justice, and says certain people will be cheering these developments. Unfortunately, there is nothing to cheer about here. No justice was served by these rulings. And it's a very interesting case between morality and legality. And Denninger at market ticker kicks in with MERS. That's MERS, that's the electronic register system for mortgages, minus a few bricks. And in his article, he finishes with deciding to play go-go. That's, following the bubble. Deciding to play go-go during the bubble years was a decision made by the securitizers and lenders. The borrowers had exactly nothing to do with it. They were no more able to influence that decision than was Mickey Mouse, and to claim that there's something inequitable that comes about when someone makes an allegedly secured loan, but does not bother to do the things necessary under the law to retain that security interest is pure nonsense. Again, the debt isn't gone. In other words, that 417,000 debt is not gone. It's just lost its characteristic of a secured note. I'll finish. And that, my friends, is exactly what the rule of law says should happen when you make an intentional decision to cheat the process for your own pecuniary benefit. You get the consequences. These people have not done what the law required them to do to maintain their part of owning a secured mortgage, a secured debt. Now that as push has come to shove, the court has said no, and now that debt exists, but it is no longer secured. So the people that cut corners to make more money in the past are going to have an awful lot of trouble going forward getting their money back. And as Denninger says, that seems to be morally and legally their own bloody silly fault. Bye.